Yeah. Once again, it's on. Back at you one more again. Real Kens TV and the House Light Kitchen Sinks. Before I get into today's story, if you will, understand that I'm the self-proclaimed Mr. 30 Minutes or Better, meaning that anytime I drop you a story, it's guaranteed to be 30 minutes or better. So if you're on your way to work, you're at work, you don't feel like being, as we so often don't. You're on your way home from work, you need to laugh, you need to cry. Perhaps you're trying to lay down and take a nap, or you're trying to go to sleep at night, depending on whatever time you're listening to or viewing this video. Or you're just in the mood for a good old-fashioned true, keyword being true, penitentiary / life story / life experience. This is the channel for you. If you prefer your 8 to 12 to 15-minute videos, absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But at Real Kens TV, it's 30 minutes or better. So with all that being said, with all that being wrapped up into one big old nutshell that is, there is a message. Y'all jump in the comment section and let me know where you're chiming in from. I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Let me know your city, your state, your hood, your set. Whatever, if you're the man or the woman that you say you be, let it be known in the comment section. You know, there's some horrific things that have gone on in prison, that continue to go on in prison. I often listen to Fleece Johnson over the Hustler Spirit 502, featuring Big Lee. And Fleece tells a lot of stories that sometimes it makes you wonder, like, could this have even remotely been true or possible? But you got to understand that Fleece was locked up during, the 70s and the 80s, and technology and cameras and things that exist in prison now, it didn't exist back then, at least to that capacity. Horrific things happen. Danger. Violence. People getting violated. Had a particular situation in which I was in prison, and I ran into a childhood friend. Now, this childhood friend was always a few years older than me. At the time, when I was a child, I didn't get in trouble. But this individual was in and out of jail, in and out of juvie. Called a Cisco Road here in Lexington. That's for the youth, for the juveniles, 18 and under, 17 and under, actually. Called him Franco. Franco was a white dude, had long hair. Real cool dude, man. Real cool dude. Franco was about, I don't know. Franco was about, the last time I seen Franco, he was probably about 5'11". He was about 5'11", weighing in at about 160 pounds. And at this point, he was probably 17 years old. I'm about 12, 13 at the time. Franco was always cool. He had all the black dudes like Franco, so he could run with the black dudes, and he ran with the white dudes just as well. Franco wasn't your typical white dude. And when I say typical white dudes, no offense to anyone. I mean, like, Franco would snap, like, he could hoop. And again, not to say that white dudes can't hoop. I'm not saying anything like that. But what I'm saying is, like, he wasn't intimidated. He wasn't intimidated about being around, the brothers or whatever. And when I say snap and rank, like, he'll talk about them just as well. They'll say something to him, and then he'll fire right back. So he was a real funny dude. But again, he just stayed in trouble all the time. One day, up and Franco was just gone. Like, I'd never seen him again. Like, literally, I didn't know exactly what happened. I had heard some things, but Franco was just gone. He was accused of the infamous R word. Terrible crime to have, if you will. And Franco was gone. For years, I'd never seen Franco ever. I find myself in the penitentiary. At this point, it's probably 30 years later. I'm sorry. I want to say about 20 years later. Not 30, 20. So I'm in the pen, and I'm in the dorm. This particular dorm that I'm in, you got a upper tier, and it's 3 tiers. So you got your third floor, your second floor, then you got the bottom floor. Down on the bottom floor, that's where the TVs are, or the tables. So if you want to play board games such as chess, or getting the microwaves, or things that they got phones down there just as well. And so oftentimes, you got to go to the first tier to, the first floor to, handle your business. That's where the guards tower is at. So one night, I'm at the microwave. Trying to get my, my little food warmed up or whatever, because the dorm gets shut down at about 10:15. meaning that you got to be in your cell, and then once you in your cell, you in your cell for the night till the yard opens at about 5:30 in the morning. So I'm at the microwave, and I heard somebody come up to me, and they like, look, Mac. So I look. I'm looking. He's like, you don't even remember me, do you, boy? You don't even remember me. That's how he talk. You don't even remember me, boy. It's Franco. Franco. He said the name of the street that we grew up on. Man, Franco. I'm like, oh, what's up, man? I ain't seen Franco in 20 plus years. What's so crazy about the situation is Franco was still 5'11". This dude was still 5'11", 20 years later. He's weighing in at this point. He's probably about, he's a good 215, 220, solid. Until he been working out. Still got that long hair. And for the most part, still, look the same. So we standing at the microwave or whatever, we kicking it. We don't got much time before, like I said, the dorm is going to shut down. So I'm like, bro, I ain't seen you in years. He was like, yeah, man, I got convicted of that, that R word or whatever, but I didn't even do it. You know what I'm saying? So he gets to talking about the case a little bit or whatever. So he's like, the question is, what are you doing in here? Man, we as kids, you didn't do nothing. What did you do? So, I'm telling him why I'm in there or whatever. And Franco and I would, it's not like we hung on the prison yard. He already had his clique. We had dudes that followed behind him or whatever. He was a made man up in there. Man, you need anything, man. Anything, man. Wasn't on no funniness, wasn't on no, prison games. I give you something, so now you owe me. Nah, it was just, childhood friends. Like I said, he was just a few years older than me. Franco had everything, man. Anything that you could possibly want in prison, he had. Need anything, man, just holler at me or whatever. So like I said, we were in the same dorm. He was on the lower floor, and I was on the third floor. So some time would pass, and one day I seen him. He's like, come on, man, spin the block with me, man. Spin the block means, walk this loop with me. So we walk in the loop, just talking about old times, things that just, over all the years, all the things that have happened. He was telling me, his parents had passed away while he was locked up. He ended up losing one of his siblings. These are the things that happen when you are incarcerated. And he was just saying that, it's just one of those things where you just got to be strong and just keep going. You don't really have time to mourn while you're locked up, because you have no time to really, show your weakness or whatever. And so he was telling me that he had a situation. Franco was about to get out. Franco only had maybe 6 months left. He had a situation in which the state police detectives, they had been up to the prison a couple times to talk to him. They're questioning him about a double homicide that had taken place. Franco's name came up, in the investigation. Of course, he's denying it, man. I don't know what y'all talking about, man. This double homicide took place right around the time when Franco was charged and accused of the R word. Actually, it took place before that. So it's relatively close, it's within the same time frame or whatever. Probably like a year or so, 8 months. Nevertheless, back then, the DNA and things of that nature, it wasn't, I'm not even sure if they really had DNA like that then. But they were coming trying to get his DNA and just questioning him or whatnot. Basically what had happened was there was another individual, allegedly, that was involved in this double homicide. And allegedly, 2 people went into the house. And when they went into the house, it was a man and a woman. They were married. They had a whole lot of valuable items in the house, jewelry and cash, and they were a target. They went in, hit the lick, and as they were leaving out, the husband tries to fight back. And this was an older couple. At the time, the couple was maybe in their 50s. The husband tries to fight back instead of just, here, man, y'all take his stuff. His stuff is insured anyway. Take it all, man. Now he's trying to fight back. He's trying to be a hero. Not to say that he was wrong. But in a situation like that, when someone has the ups on you and they have a gun pointed at you, what's the procedure with a gun in your face, man? This individual didn't follow the procedure. Like I said, tries to play hero. He ends up getting unalived. Gets smoked. Of course, the agreement was no one's to get hurt. We're just going to go in, we're going to get this money, we're going to scare them a little bit, and we're gone. Think about crimes, especially robberies. They rarely go according as planned. And it was one of those cases that became a cold case. It was never solved. Although they had suspects, it was never solved. But this individual ended up getting caught up in something else. And lo and behold, I know something about a double homicide. He tells the police he's working with the police, so that he can hopefully get out of his situation or make his situation a lot less than what it, potentially is. Well, he put everything off on Franco. So once the police, they started to come around and do their investigations and, the DNA, and of course he denied all of that, but yet the courts can make you take a DNA swab. He knows that it's over for him. He knows they're about to charge him. His goal is to get out, and he's gone. He's on the run as long as he can possibly be on the run. But on the flip side, he's like, well, I know that they're watching my release date. So if they don't charge me before I get out, I know that the day that I do get out, they're going to be waiting on me. Lo and behold, the day that he served out, and Peoples was there. Put your hands behind your back. They take him directly to the county jail. Man, y'all rock with me. They take him to the county jail where this double homicide took place. Been in prison for 17 years straight on a prison yard. He done served out a 25-year sentence. To go from a prison yard, now you have to go to a county jail. Oh my goodness. It's never cool to be on a prison yard. But when you find yourself in a county jail, you locked down. It's overcrowded. You're supposed to get rec every day, at least 3 times a week, at the very least. They barely come in and give you rec. The food is terrible. It's noisy. It's disrespectful. The officers are disrespectful. It's just a terrible, terrible thing. And especially being that Franco was coming from the penitentiary. He still had a penitentiary frame of mind about himself. So he's in the county jail, and it was this officer. There was this one officer that was just, I don't know if the dude had a death wish. I don't know what this officer was on. I don't know what his problem was. Officer Walridge. In my estimation, my guesstimation, he was trying to show that he was a no-nonsense sort of officer so that he could move his way up to sergeant. And then once he moves his way up to sergeant, then he want to move his way up to lieutenant and continue to go higher and higher. See, a lot of times when you're locked up, especially in them county jails, you see these officers, and they jerks. I mean, the staff, they're just outright jerks. Do you run across some cool ones? Yeah, you do. Now, for you all that wondering why I'm holding my camera like this, my camera stand broke. And so I have another one at home, and I forgot to bring it out with me, but guess what? The show must go on. And so you have these officers that act a certain type of way because they have these blue uniforms on. And I guess they feel as though because they have these blue uniforms on, that they can't be touched. Majority of the time when they're rude or, they disrespect, the inmates or what have you, the inmates just let it slide because you're trying to go home or you're trying to get to the next level as far as if you're going to prison or you're just trying to get your time out of the way. You don't got no time to be catching no assault charges. Now, let's not get it misconstrued. There's some officers that's tough, man. I done seen officers that'll get with you in a heartbeat. But the majority of them are not like that. The majority of them are just jerks. Didn't have no girls in high school. couldn't make the basketball, the football team. You know, just real life jerks, man. You know, bitter, mad because people's families coming up there to see them and putting money on their account, and they have to go home to a miserable house, a miserable wife, if they even have a wife. They got a house full of cats, and because they don't have any, and there's nothing wrong with having, you know, cats or whatever, if it's your preference. But the point that I'm making is they're just miserable. So they come in and they feel as though they can take it out on the inmates. And you have that happen very, very often. Out of all the inmates, Walridge chose to pick a bone with Franco. Again, Franco's weighing in at about 215. He's solid, man. 215, 220. Been working out 17 years straight, man. He cut up. He's 5'11". He got tattoos everywhere. He's not the dude to fool with, man. He's not. You can look at him and just tell. Do you judge a book by its cover? Sometimes. In this particular case, Walridge should have. Franco's in that county jail, man, and he's fighting this case, man. He's fighting the case, and he's fighting it. He's already pissed, like I said, because he's in the county jail. He came from a prison yard. He's been in the county jail for like 2.5 years at this point, fighting the case. He elects to go to trial. I mean, after all, there's no reason to take a plea deal. They're offering him like a life sentence for a plea deal. But the death penalty's on the table just as well. Franco's going to take his chances, man. I'm going to cop out to a plea deal. If I cop out to a plea deal, then it pretty much guarantees that I'll have no chance, if convicted, I'll have no chance at an appeal. This alleged event, or catastrophe rather, took place over 20-something years ago. His word against mine. I don't know what this dude is talking about. DNA. Go to trial. Franco blows trial. Franco blows trial, man. The jury, they're, deciding on if they're going to recommend the death penalty or just life without. Not exactly sure what they're going to do. See, oftentimes when you go to trial in Kentucky anyway, once you get convicted of trial, right, at trial, you don't get your sentence that day. Now, the jury's going to make a recommendation, but ultimately it's up to the judge to decide what you're going to get. You may go back to court a month, 2-3 months later. There's death penalties on the case. It's on the table, rather. They got Franco in a high security to where he's pretty much kept away from, other individuals. Like he has his own individual cell. It wasn't anything like protective custody or anything like that. Franco definitely didn't need that. But they're not going to put him in with other inmates that are serving 30 days or, that are in jail, waiting something minor. They're, awaiting trial, awaiting court. They're not going to have him. They're going to keep him separate and put him amongst the other gorillas in the jail. All the while this is going on, Walridge would just come in there just doing dumb stuff, man. Leave the man alone, man. This man got the death penalty on the table. Leave that man alone. Come in shaking his cell down all the time for no reason. Taking his food out of his locker. Because, if you don't have a receipt in jail for everything that you have in your locker, the police, they'll come in and they'll take it. So, say, for instance, you got 5 noodles in your locker. That's all you got in a bag of chips. 5 noodles in a bag of chips. That's all you have. But you got an officer that's a jerk. He comes in, well, you got a receipt for this? Nah, I don't have a receipt. They're going to take your stuff, if they choose to, and write you up for it. Unauthorized property, I believe that's what they call it. Just totally uncalled for. Totally just unnecessary. But that's what they do. Again, not all of them, but some of them. He was going through these things, and the final straw was he was in his cell one day, had a little radio. He's listening to his radio, not bothering anybody. And when the officer came in, he did another shakedown on him. Come on, bro. Why you always shaking me down, man? You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here, I don't bother nobody, I don't bother you, are you refusing to shake down? I'm not refusing anything, I'm just asking you, why you shaking me down for? Shaking him down. Takes the radio, he's looking at the radio to make sure, like, because there's a number that they give you, and you know, if you have an electronic such as a radio, your number goes on that electronic. He sees that his number's on there, so what does he do? He takes the batteries out and asks them for the receipt for the batteries. Well, Franco didn't have a receipt for the batteries, so he takes the batteries and he takes the radio. He's like, bro, this is my only peace of mind that I have. Why are you trying to take my radio, man? It's the only peace of mind that I have. You should have thought about that before you killed that couple. He had a couple pictures of his kids. He had kids young. Being that he had been locked up for so long, he didn't know where his kids were. He hadn't heard from his kid's mother in years. As I mentioned, both of his parents were deceased. His sister had, deceased. So only thing he really had was his pictures. I've seen situations before, and I've told a story about an individual that came in, took an inmate's pictures, all he had of his kids, man. Took the pictures and destroyed them. That inmate beat the brakes off that officer. Franco allows the officer to leave out of the cell. I'm gonna get you. You see, he really wanted to inflict violence, immediate violence upon this officer, Officer Walridge. But he didn't do so at that exact time because he knew that he still had to go back to court. He's trying to duck this death penalty. He knows that if he does something violent, the judge obviously is going to get the report that's going to impact, if you will, the judge's decision and potentially give him the death penalty. He lets it go, but he only lets it go for the moment. Like I said, I'm going to get you. I'm going to definitely get you. Franco ends up going back to court. The judge spares him, gives him life without the possibility of parole. That was one of those things to where you looking at it and you like, okay, I got life without the possibility of parole. Actually, I think he got life without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Because they had to sentence him according to the laws back then. Now he probably would have gotten life without, the possibility of parole, period. He knew he still had an opportunity. He knew that he had a opportunity for appeals. But then he got to really thinking about it like, man, life without the possibility for 25. Man, I just did, 17, 18 years. Got this officer that's still messing with me. He's contemplating in his mind, what am I going to do, man? They got to send me back to prison fairly quickly. I'm going to let him live. I'm going to spare him. Franco's thinking that he's going to get sent to prison like within a week or so, Look up a month later, he's still in there. He's still in the county jail trying to figure out exactly, what's going on. 2 months passes. Walridge is still harassing him from time to time. Caught Franco on the right day. Wrong day for Walridge, right day for Franco, in his mind. He comes in, shake down. He didn't even argue with him that day. He stands up because he was sitting on his bunk. He stands up. When you get shook down, oftentimes you got to walk over to the officer, turn around, put your hands behind your back. They put cuffs on you. Then you sit in the chair and you watch them as they shake you down. Sometimes they'll come too deep. When I say too deep, it'll be two officers. But oftentimes they don't follow protocol and it'll be one officer, especially Walridge. See, Walridge he's about 6'2", weighing in at, he's 360. 350, big old stomach. Walridge was a young dude, man. He might have been 25, 26. Looked like a Justin Bieber. That's really who he looked like, but he was just, larger. really was a jerk, man. This dude was really, really a jerk. As Franco walks over towards him, mind you, they're in a cell. They're not in a cell to where there's bars, it's a door. So when that door shuts, it locks, it clicks. Walridge is over the dorm that day. There's no one else in the dorm but him. Only thing that he has on him, there's no cameras in the cell. Only thing they have in the cell is a intercom. So if you need the officer's attention, let's just say the doors are locked and your toilet stopped up, or you need something or whatever, you hit the button. Maybe they'll respond, maybe they won't. And they have this panic button that they wear. It's a radio, and they wear it like right here on their shoulder. It's like a little compartment that they have to keep the radio in. There's a red button on top, and anytime something happens, you hit that red button. That red button is hit, people know to get there and get there immediately. So say, for instance, in the dorm, say you're in dorm II. Let's just say II. And there's a fight or something like that that's going, or an inmate is attacking you or about to attack you. Well, we're going to see if you're really tough. You've been talking all that tough stuff. You said that you won't fight. So they'll hit the panic button. And that's all you hear over the loudspeaker. Signal 7 in Unit II. Signal 7 in Unit II. That's what you'll hear over the intercom. Signal 7. That means get here, stop what you're doing, and get here. Violence. Immediate violence. There's a fight. You hear Signal 7s throughout the day. Throughout the whole day in that county jail. Signal 7 in Unit II. Signal 7 in Unit II. Franco's walking over. He already knows the protocol. He already knows that as soon as he jumps bad with Walridge, he's going to hit that red button. Signal 7. He don't even say a word. Franco's 5'11", so he got the heart of a lion. Rears back. Bow! Clocked that boy. Hit him so hard. When he hit him, he falls backwards. As he goes backwards, he hits the door. Once he hits the door shot. It shuts and it's locked. So now he's trapped in the room with Franco, a killer. Boom! He just takes off on him. He's hitting him. Clean shots, just right to the face. He grabs his radio and puts it on the table. So now he can't even get to his radio. So then he said, nah, he grabs the radio, throws it in the toilet, flushes the toilet, because radios are small. Nobody could save him. Now you in the cell, like I said, with a maniac, man. You in the cell with a dude that just did 17, 18 years straight. You in the cell with an individual that just beat the death penalty. You in the cell with an individual that got 25 to life. Or life without the possibility for 25 years, and he's probably not going home. Elderly couple, double homicide. He's probably not going home from that with his record, with his background. He has nothing to lose. He's warned you all these times. Hopefully some of you COs are listening. And not just COs, but anybody that's in a position of power. And you're taking advantage of your power simply because you feel as though you can. I hope y'all really, really listening to what I'm saying right here. The whole time he's thinking about these things as he's just welling away at him. Just punching him, hitting him, choking him. He's really on the verge of unaliving this man. And again, nobody can help. They're in a cell that's completely shut. No cameras. No COs in the dorm. Inmates are not, they don't know what's going on. And even if they did, this dude was such a jerk, who's going to help him? Nobody's going to help him. Franco does the unthinkable. Now, hold on, kids. How can it get worse than that? I mean, that's pretty unthinkable. No. Franco, at that point, does the unthinkable. Fleece Johnson often talked about in prison when you want to humiliate somebody. That's when the R word comes in. We say grape. I don't condone that. I don't approve of that. But that's just the way that prison tends to work from time to time. Oftentimes. Big Walridge was out of it. He didn't know whether he was coming or going. Never knew Franco to be zesty. Never heard about him being zesty. Liking dudes, liking boys. This particular day, he got real zesty, man. You officers, hope you listen to this. So you got to understand, when you work at a prison, inmates allow you all to go home. Yeah, you go home, but guess what? You're allowed to go home. So when you coming in there with that funky attitude, when you coming in there acting as though you run the prison, when you coming in there acting as though you really running the yard, inmates allow you to go home to your family if you have a family, your kids if you have kids. So be a little bit more mindful and be a little bit more respectful. I understand you got to do your job. I get it. But at any given time, you can be in a position that Walridge was in. Pulled his pants down, put him on the bed, and violated him, man. I'm not going to get deep into that. 1 + 1 always equals 2. Violated that man right there in the cell, man. Violated him. He was screaming and hollering. Ain't nothing you can do, man. There's nothing that you can do. Once he finished violating him. And I'm going to tell you what's so crazy about the situation. The same cuffs, the same exact cuffs that Officer Walridge planned to put on Franco had put the cuffs on him. Just had his hands behind his back. Same way that he would often come in and put Franco's hands behind his back while he shook him down. Violated that man in a cell, man. Sad. Well, the problem is, at that point, they were stuck in the cell. Couldn't get out of the cell. The door is locked. Once your door shuts, you need an officer to, hit the lock for you. Some time had passed and another officer comes into the dorm. See, they have officers that come through and do their walkthroughs, and so a sergeant comes into the dorm. Didn't think anything of it because he didn't see Officer Walridge in the guard station. The guard station's like in the middle of the dorm on the lower floor. I figured he was probably just doing, his walkthroughs or whatever. Franco hits the button, the intercom. Yeah, I need out of my cell. Because it wasn't lockdown time or anything like that, so you could just freely roam. I need out of my cell. The sergeant hits the button. Franco comes out of the cell. Props the door open. Now he's dragging Officer Walridge out of the cell. Officer Walridge is about 350, 360, so it wasn't no easy task to just be dragging him. He's cuffed. He's on his back. He's cuffed. He's pulling him out of the cell. He had like a sock or something in his mouth or whatever. Franco had stuffed like a sock in his mouth. He's dragging him out of the cell. It gets the attention, obviously, of the sergeant. The sergeant sees what's going on. He immediately grabs his radio. Signal 7. Signal 7 and R! Signal 7 and R! He's going crazy. He's Signal 7, Signal 7, Signal 7 and R! They all rush in. 15, 20 of them. They all rush in. Franco steps back, puts his hands up, turns around, puts his hands behind his back. He didn't have no problem with them. He just had a problem with Walridge. Humiliated the man. had all of his clothes off and drug him out of the cell. Come and get this big B-I-T-C-H. Come and get this big B-I-T-C-H. Franco had nothing to lose. Again, Walridge thought that he was just one of those people that could just do anything to anybody and just get away with it because he had that little weak blue uniform on. We quickly learned that day. He definitely learned that day. Not sure what ever happened with Walridge after that. Franco ended up getting an additional like 20 years. It didn't matter to him. In his eyes, he was never getting out of prison in the first place. Now, you would think that something like this, and he got so much time in the hole, but see, in prison, they can only give you so many years in the hole. You would think that something like this would be looked upon as, oh man, that's gross. That's because to your average individual, that is gross. But once he hit the prison yard, Franco hit the prison yard. Somewhat of a hero. He already had respect on the yard. I'm quite sure officers respected him at that point. I'm quite sure that officers were very, very hesitant. Should be walking on eggshells when you're around an individual such as Franco or anybody. Again, I don't condone what Franco did. I don't condone that whatsoever. You know, when you graping somebody, that's never, and I'm not here to pass judgment on anybody, but that's never, in my eyes, never should even remotely be an option. But everybody don't think the same. And everybody can't tolerate disrespect. And some of you CEOs need to get you a little bit of act right in you before you find yourself in that same situation in a cell with the doors locked with a gorilla. Signal 7 couldn't save Walridge that day. You see, the thing about prison and the thing about life in general, sometimes you put yourself in a predicament to where your life is in the hands of another individual, another man. You see, this particular day, Franco had the upper hand. Franco decided if Walridge lived or not. And he decided to let him live. But I bet during the process of what was happening, somewhere in his mind, he probably wished that he was unalive. But then again, Walridge, I'm not even gonna say it. Y'all take heed, man. Remember, inmates allow y'all to go home to your family. Don't disrespect somebody simply because they're in a predicament in which they're trying to behave and do the right thing so that they can get home to their family. Because at any given day, anybody's subject to snap. Everybody's not playing with a full deck. Some people are a sandwich or two short of a picnic. And that easily could be you. Real Kins TV. Hopefully you liked the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive. Y'all make sure y'all share my videos. I'm trying to get the shadow ban up off of me. My views been down. But I can't complain about it. I'm going to just keep posting and keep posting. And eventually, they got to lift the shadow ban up off of me and let me out of the cage and let me live, man. Real Kins TV. Shout out to Officer Walridge. Respectfully.